I removed them for a reason. Yes, I removed them for a reason. And you are not listening to this by accident. You have been replaying the moment in your mind, wondering why it ended the way it did, questioning why the door closed when you prayed for it to stay open. You feel the tension between what you wanted and what happened, and that tension is exactly why you must hear this. I see what you cannot see. I know what you did not know. I've walked every step of your journey before you ever took it, and if you stay with me, I will show you why what felt like loss was actually protection, why what looked like rejection was rescue, and why the pain you felt was not punishment but preservation. You thought I was silent when they left, but I was actively intervening. You were asking me to bless something I could see would break you. You were trying to hold together a connection that was already cracking beneath the surface. I heard the conversations you did not hear. I saw the intentions you could not discern. I knew the direction that relationship was heading long before the first visible sign appeared. And because I love you, I refuse to let it continue. You measure love by comfort, but I measure love by protection. You measure blessing by attachment, but I measure blessing by alignment. If I had allowed them to remain, you would have mistaken temporary happiness for long-term peace. You would have built your future on a foundation that could not withstand the weight of your calling. I removed them before the damage became deeper, before the betrayal became heavier, before your heart became harder. What you call heartbreak, I call interruption of harm. What you call abandonment, I call divine shielding. There were conversations forming behind your back that would have wounded you. There were compromises slowly creeping into your standards that would have reshaped your identity. You were adjusting yourself to keep them, shrinking in ways you did not even notice, silencing parts of who you are just to maintain harmony. That is not how I designed you to live. I did not create you to bend for acceptance. I did not form you to negotiate your worth. When I saw you beginning to settle for less than I ordained, I stepped in. Yes, and you heard. Yes, it confused you. Yes, it made you question me. But I would rather allow you to cry now than to crumble later. You cannot see the disasters I have prevented. You cannot count the sleepless nights I spared you from. You cannot measure the emotional storms I redirected away from your life. But one day you will look back and realize that what felt like a sudden removal was actually a carefully timed rescue. I removed them not because you were unworthy, not because you failed, not because you prayed incorrectly, but because I love you too much to let you attach yourself to something that would have eventually broken your spirit. And even now, as you sit in the silence they left behind, wondering if you should reach back, wondering if you should try again, I am asking you to trust what I have already done, because this was not random, it was intentional, and I am not finished showing you why. Listen to me carefully. The separation was not only protection, it was preparation. You are still measuring that removal by what you felt, but I measure it by what it prevented and what it is producing inside you right now. There are layers to what I am doing in your life that you cannot yet perceive. When I began elevating your mindset, stirring your hunger for growth, awakening a deeper awareness within you, not everyone around you was willing to evolve at the same pace. Some were comfortable with a version of you that was unsure, dependent, and easier to influence. But the moment you began to rise, even subtly, tension formed. You noticed small misunderstandings. You felt distance that could not be explained. What you did not realize was that growth naturally exposes misalignment. I am not removing people because they are evil. I am removing them because they are incompatible with where I am taking you. Had they remained, you would have slowly diluted your standards to keep the connection alive. You would have postponed decisions I placed on your heart. You would have quieted your convictions just to maintain peace. And that is not peace, that is compromise. I am calling you into expansion, into clarity, into a stronger identity that is not shaped by approval. When a gardener prunes a vine, it looks violent to the untrained eye. Branches are cut. Leaves fall. It appears diminished. But the gardener knows something the vine does not. Pruning increases fruitfulness. I am pruning your life. I am cutting off what would have drained your energy, clouded your discernment, and reduced your potential. It feels empty right now because you were accustomed to their presence. Silence feels louder when you were used to constant conversation. But in this quiet, I am strengthening you. I am teaching you to stand without leaning. I am showing you that your stability cannot depend on another person's consistency. You must learn to be rooted in me, not in someone else's validation. The detachment is shaping your resilience. It is forcing you to discover parts of yourself you neglected while trying to preserve the relationship. I am not subtracting joy from your life. I am removing dependence that would have weakened you later. And though you may not thank me yet, you are already becoming stronger because of what I took away. And now you sit in the space that feels unfinished, wondering if what I removed will ever be replaced, questioning whether the emptiness means permanent loss. But hear me clearly. I do not subtract without intention to multiply. I do not clear space without planning what will fill it. The removal was the first step. Alignment is the next. You cannot receive what fits your destiny while clinging to what was tied to your past. If your hands are full of what I have already taken away, how will you grasp what I am sending? I am orchestrating connections you have not yet met. I am aligning conversations that will affirm your calling instead of confusing it. I'm preparing relationships that will sharpen you rather than shrink you. But timing matters. I needed you to release before I could replace. I needed you to grieve before you could grow. I needed you to trust my decision before you could appreciate my provision. The silence you feel is not abandonment. It is transition. I am recalibrating your expectations. I am refining your discernment so that when the right people enter your life, you will recognize the difference immediately. What is coming will not feel chaotic. It will not require you to sacrifice your peace. It will not demand that you prove your worth. It will align naturally, flow gently, and confirm internally. And when that alignment happens, you will finally understand why the previous connection had to end. You will see that what you once begged me to restore would have blocked what I am about to release. Trust the pause. Trust the process. Trust that I see the full picture of your life from beginning to end. The chapter I closed was necessary. The chapter I am writing now is intentional. And when you step into what I have prepared, you will look back at this moment not with regret, but with gratitude, because you will realize I removed them not to hurt you, but to elevate you into something far greater than you imagined. Amen.